What's going on, guys? Welcome back here to another tutorial again. Now on this tutorial, last time or last lesson which we had, we agreed that we created two different users, and these two users have got different accounts, where one user type is an admin, the other one is a student. So the purpose of me doing this is because I want to show you that they can see different dashboards and they won't be able to see each other's information. A good example is a student will not be able to see the admin information, but the admin can navigate from admin to students database. So for us to work perfectly on this, we are going to now go on our text editor, and this is where we're going to start editing a few things. Now we are going to go on our web.php inside our routes, and before we even start, we might need to add controllers and so forth. So we're going to go on our cmd and we write our command php artisan make a controller, and what can we call this controller? Home controller, I guess. Yeah, and then we run that. Our controller has been created. If we check our app.http, our controllers, yes, we do have our home controller. Now this home controller is the one that we now need it to be seen inside this. So obviously use app/http/controller. Don't worry about the other controller that is already there. We are going to utilize it a little bit later on. So http, use this controller, and our controller is called home controller, like that. Now what we now need to do is we now need to create a route that is going to be seen by by the admin, because obviously when the admin logs in, their purpose is to be able to see a different concept. So we can now say route, and the route is supposed to be an admin using the system. So let's call it admin dashboard, meaning that the admin will be able to see their own dashboard, and this dashboard is going to be inside the home controller, inside a class and within this class we can just call it index, I guess. Yeah, let's just call it index, like that. Now this will make sure that when an admin logs in, the admin will be able to see this route, which takes them to this function, which gives them their own view. So let's go to the home controller, and obviously over here we're going to create a function, public function called index, so that the admin will be able to see the information that we're going to tell. And we're going to say it is supposed to return, but then it is returning a view which we haven't created, by the way, and this view is going to be inside, let's say it's going to be an admin dashboard. Let me remove that and put it like this, admin dashboard. Now exactly, some of you might be surprised as to why am I saying admin.dashboard. Now an admin.dashboard is when you are now specifying a route in a specified path. So meaning that, for example, admin becomes my pathway, whilst dashboard becomes the file. So what we are now going to be doing is we are now going to go inside our views, and if you go inside our views, if we now go inside our resources, then we go inside our views, not this ones, you'll see that we've got different types of views, but then this one is specific for the for the admin. So what we can do is inside this views folder, we can add a new folder that is called admin. So that when we are saying admin.dashboard, it means that this dashboard is going to be inside this specific file. So now we can see that we've got a folder called admin. We can now add a new file, which is going to be called dashboard.blade.php. Mind you, this file we have created is inside over here. So it means that we want the user to be able to see this page. And just for argument's sake, let's just say it's going to be an HTML document. So we can just say HTML. And to make it different, let's just put an h1 tag and say welcome to admin dashboard. Yeah, right. So mean that whenever the user or the admin is going to log in, the admin is going to look for this page, which is this folder, and this file, which is dashboard, this one. Now, for that to occur, we now need to manipulate another concept again. Now, already we have something that we have been seeing when you log in, which is this page called dashboard, which shows you this specific nice dashboard and tells you that you are logged in and so forth and so forth. And we've got this, which is our landing page. But then for us to be able to manipulate as to which page is going to be used, we are going to be using a different type of what? A different type of system. Now, for that to occur, we now need to create some form of authentication, which makes sure that the user can be able to see that specific page, nothing else. And as we add that authentication, for now, I think I can close that. We are going to go inside our app. We are inside. All right, let me just close this and then reopen. We're going to go back inside our app. And inside our app, we are going to go inside HTTP. Inside HTTP, you realize that there are certain things that exist. For example, we've got controllers, which is where we're going to go to. Then we're going to go to authentication, which changes or which checks who is logging in on a system. So this is an authenticated session controller. It makes sure that whoever is logging in is the intended user. And all we need to do is we need to manipulate a specific function that is known as what? Store. This specific function called store, it makes sure that whoever is logging in on a system can be able to see that specific file that you want them to be able to see. So I'm just going to reduce the size a bit. And as you can see, even the comment, it tells you that this is a file that handles an incoming what? Authentication. So, and you can see it authenticates based on request. So what we're going to do now is we're now going to add a condition that makes sure that it authenticates. So if our request, but for who? Request coming from where specifically? We go back to our database. Our database table is called users. So if our request coming from the table called what? User. If our request coming from what? From user. But where exactly on user? We now need to specify that we are specifying that this is coming from a specific column that we created called what? User type. So user type. Right? So in other words, we are saying if the request to this database or through this database and from the variable or from the statement user type is equals to, then we specify, is it going to be an admin? Is it going to be a user? So if it is going to be someone who's not the default value that we set, and mind you, when we set the default value, we say it's student. So if the request is not going to be admin, if the request, is going to be admin, that means this is not the default, then it means it needs to give them a different what? A different sort of pathway. So we can say return redirect, right? But then exactly where are we redirecting it to? We are returning a redirect to a specific path. And this specific pathway is located under a folder called admin. And inside admin, it's a file called what? Dashboard. like that. So we are just authenticating the user request based on who is logging in and so forth. All right. Now let's try and see if this has worked. All right. So if we are logging in as an admin, it will just show us this page that says welcome to admin dashboard. It's got nothing fancy on it. But if we are logging in not as an admin, then it means that we have to be able to what? To see the default dashboard. So currently our admin is on the account called Ghost, whilst the local user or the student user is on an account called Craig. So log in. So email for Craig is this one. And the password for Craig, which was the last one, it's 987654321. If we log in, as you can see, we see our default what? Dashboard. But we want to see what happens when we log in as the other different what? The different user, which is the admin. So we remove that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If we click log in, we're not supposed to see the same dashboard. As you can see, we are now seeing a dashboard that says welcome to admin dashboard. In other words, we are saying that this authentication session has gone successfully because it first checked that is the user type the same as the keyword admin, student. If the user type is student, automatically it sends you on the other what? On the other page. As you can see, user type standard is what? Student. But if the user type is not student and it's admin, then it means that we can set it to be what? We can now tell it which page to be able to access. In other words, if the user type is admin, it follows this pathway. Now you can do this for pretty much multi-level logging in, whereby you've got admin, you've got managers, you've got workers from specific departments. But then this now means that when you're creating your database, you are specifying someone based on their department. Thank you so much for joining me on this session. Let's meet again as we continue the authentication and making sure that students won't be able to log into admin side and admins will be able to see student sides.